Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a great time at the beginning of Christmas month. Today we are going to be discussing a film from my early childhood, the 2001 film Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys. This of course is based on the 1964 stop-motion film titled Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by Rankin Bass Productions, which I have definitely seen but don't remember as well. I must say that I probably watched the 2001 film way more than the original, certainly more than I should have. I only remembered that this movie existed recently, which activated some neurons, and I knew that I just had to make a video about it. I do have some fond memories of it, but before making this, I was really scared that my opinion of it would be spoiled. Should I have been? Let's find out. Without further ado, on with the review.
One selection box god. I'm the selection box god. All these other boys fraud. They just eat the one bar, but I eat them all. I'm the selection box god.
After a few too many production logos, the movie opens with a tracking shot of a wintry landscape, backed by that familiar jingle. We enter a girl's bedroom, and a tune is played from the distance. The toys begin leaving the bedroom one by one, in a fashion reminiscent of the Pied Piper of Hamelin story. The culprit behind the toy stealing is this mysterious figure masked by a trench coat who calls himself the Toy Taker. Very creative, clearly. The Toy Taker steals all the toys from children in the days upcoming to Christmas. That's right, this story has kind of a whodunit element to it, which I don't think many first-time viewers would expect. It's a nice change of pace for a Christmas movie. The movie's narrator is a snowman reporter named Scoop T. Snowman, voiced by Richard Dreyfuss, who also narrated movies like Stand By Me. This movie has quite the celebrity cast, as you'll come to notice. Following this opening, we get a flashback to the Christmas parade, where Santa, Mrs. Claus, the reindeers, and all of Santa's elves are preparing for Christmas. We even get an appearance from the Yeti. Some covers of popular Christmas jingles that sound like they belong in a Nintendo game also play in the background. Can't deny that they're catchy though. There's a cute but cheesy segment where Rudolph and his girlfriend Clarice play in the snow to the song Beyond the Stars by Clark Anderson, and it's pretty soon established that Rudolph is extremely famous in Christmastown, although it doesn't seem like he is enjoying his time in the limelight too much, especially as the people around him seem to treat his nose, that he was born with, as part of some novelty act. This seems like a running theme throughout this movie, especially later on. Rudolph wants to be praised for something that he's actually achieved instead of being praised for having a quirky nose, as he's never had to put any effort into that. It's an understandable plight. The kite who is afraid of heights arrives and requests that Rudolph and his elf buddy Hermie head to the Island of Misfit Toys. While this is featured in the title, this island has been a concept since the original 1964 special. Rudolph and Hermie sing a song called Keep Your Chin Up about how it's okay to be different, and it's not a very memorable song.
So keep your chin up, keep your shoulders back, and face the world with pride.
The vocals aren't very wowing either, and this will be a recurring issue throughout, I think. The animation really suffers in some segments here too. Similarly to an opera, they reach the island immediately after and begin a song called The Island of Misfit Toys.
Don't be frightened by all the noise on the island of Misfit Toys. Oh, the island of Misfit Toys.
This is the song and scene that I remembered the most from this movie before rewatching it, and upon watching it now, it just doesn't have the same atmosphere as the original. It just seems like it's trying to be catchy, and if that was the goal, it worked, I guess. King Moonracer, a winged lion who is king of the island and takes care of the toys until they can be rehomed, has a horrible toothache, and luckily, Hermie just so happens to be a dentist in his spare time. That's a plotline from the original special. Hermie finds a cavity in King Moonracer's mouth, so decides to give him a root canal, much to the king's dislike. I won't lie, I really don't like how the shot of Hermie inspecting the king's mouth looks. It's a classic kind of mouth POV shot, but it just looks kind of flat and unfinished. Meanwhile, Santa locks all of his toys away in his warehouse to keep them safe from the toy taker before Christmas Eve, but the scoundrel does a typical rooftop burglary maneuver. A storm disrupts Rudolph and Hermie's journey home, and they crash into an iceberg. I think that the animation in the scene where Rudolph rises from the water with Hermie on his back actually looks pretty good in comparison to some of the other segments. The two misfits end up somewhere called Castaway Cove, and when he sees that they have been shipwrecked, one of the gingerbread soldiers allows them entry. He takes them to a hippopotamus called Queen Camilla, voiced by Jamie Lee Curtis. Although she's doing an ambiguously European accent for comedic effect, it's pretty obvious that it's her listening now.
Just 'cause Camilla is beautiful, don't mean she's one sandwich short of picnic, darling.
Now that I think about it, she was in loads of goofy movies that I watched as a kid, and I just didn't put two and two together at the time. Anyways, she tries to have Hermie and Rudolph put in the castle dungeon for 300 years, but when she realizes who Rudolph is, she is eager to help them. She sings a song about how she likes to look after and rejuvenate old toys, and allows them to stay in her castle. However, she then laments about what to do with the toys after she helps them. Rudolph offers to take them to Santa so that they can find homes, and she insists in doing something for them in return. Rudolph wants a normal nose, and Hermie wants a date with the Tooth Fairy. Makes sense given his line of work. Camilla says she can give Rudolph a nose job, but after some consideration, he decides that he needs some time to think about it. I'm surprised that the movie went this route, but I think that it may be a good message for kids. If you're feeling bad about your appearance, cosmetic surgery isn't something that you should just jump into, and we'll see what conclusion Rudolph comes to in the end. Upon returning home, Rudolph goes on a date with Clarice, where he gives her a flying lesson, where she struggles quite a bit. This makes Clarice sad, as she feels like she isn't good enough for Rudolph, but he tries to reassure her by telling her about his intent to get a nose job. Clarice says she loves his nose just the way it is, so Rudolph confesses that he loves her. This makes Clarice fly into the air, which is supposed to mirror a scene from the original special where Clarice calls Rudolph cute and he's finally able to fly. I get the sense that this movie is trying to mirror the special in general, and I'll get more into that later. Santa announces that all of the toys in his warehouse were stolen, and one of the elves, Hank, confesses that he saw a blimp flying overhead on the night of the burglary, revealing how the toy taker was able to get in through the roof. Clarice finds an old form of toy stuffing, and Rudolph finds some little paw prints. They then map out the places that the toy taker has already robbed, and come to the conclusion that Castaway Cove and the Island of Misfit Toys are the next places that he will strike. The toy taker's lair is revealed, and although the toys he's stolen plead with him to take them back home, he refuses and states that children won't love their toys forever, and once they outgrow them, the toys will be thrown away. The toy taker is voiced by Rick Moranis, who is known for his roles in movies like Ghostbusters, The Little Shop of Horrors, and Spaceballs. Although they are too late to stop him from robbing Castaway Cove, they disguise themselves as toys to get onto his blimp, but are discovered by the real toys, who tell the toy taker. After a battle on top of the blimp, Clarice and Rudolph discover that the toy taker is afraid of Rudolph's glowing nose, and use this to their advantage while pursuing him through a mine. The toy taker throws lit lamps at their minecarts, which is actually quite dangerous. Is he trying to kill them? I knew he was evil, but I didn't think that he was that evil. The minecarts crash, and Rudolph and Clarice are able to fly to safety, but Rudolph has to catch the toy taker as he can't fly. Somehow, they just let him take off on foot though. Thankfully, Cornelius is able to wrangle him with a lasso, and they unmask him. It's revealed that he's actually just a teddy bear named Mr. Cuddles on stilts. No wonder he was so afraid of the light, he was scared that they would see his real visage.
Won't anyone fear me? Please?
Mr. Cuddles seems a just too old, causing his stuffing to leak out of his body, explaining the stuffing found in the warehouse. He divulges his backstory, how his original owner, Stephen, grew up and ended up throwing him in the trash. He is more of a sympathetic villain, genuinely believing that he was rescuing the other toys from the same fate. Santa reveals though that Stephen has actually been looking for him, and Queen Camilla fixes up Mr. Cuddles. Realizing that his nose is what makes him himself, and that it's actually useful, Rudolph abandons the idea of a nose job. Mr. Cuddles is taken to Stephen's house, and Stephen, now an adult, has a daughter who loves her new teddy bear. And with that, the film ends on a rather happy note. But what do I think about this movie overall? Is it good or bad? It's not the best movie, but I think it's pretty harmless. The animation is very dated and the poor quality really sticks out in parts, and the characters really aren't as expressive as they could be. Some parts are just very uncanny valley, and I remember being kinda creeped out by some visuals as a kid. The singing also isn't great in a lot of the songs, and a lot of the cartoon voices, while trying to be funny for kids, are kind of grating on my now adult ears. It's certainly not Tony Award worthy, I'll put it that way. The cast really did surprise me when I came back to this movie, so many names that I knew but just had no idea that they were involved with this movie. It's not a bad thing, and you can tell that the cast are really trying with what they have. The impressions of the characters from the original special are pretty good as well. But how did this age? You can tell this is from 2001. The animation aside, the style of music also makes it obvious. The plot isn't super strong, although, as I mentioned before, I do like the whodunit angle. But they really are trying really hard to imitate the original special. With the duet between Hermie and Rudolph, the Island of Misfit Toys song, the misunderstood villain, it's not exactly something that they're trying to hide. There isn't anything inherently wrong with this, especially as it's supposed to be a sequel, but it just feels like too little too late. The animation, the music, etc., you can tell that they're trying, but this movie just doesn't have the same magic that the original did, at least in my opinion. Mr. Cuddles definitely comes across as a prototypical version of Lotso from Toy Story 3, given his motives and backstory, although Mr. Cuddles is way more sympathetic and a bit more justified, I think. I would probably show this and the original to a younger relative if the opportunity arose, just because it is harmless, and I do remember enjoying it as a kid, but it could have been a bit better. Well, that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.
I'm the selection box god. All these other boys fraud. They just eat the one bar, but I eat them all. I'm the selection box god. All these other boys fraud. They just eat the one bar, but I eat them all. I'm the selection box god. All these other boys fraud. They just eat the one bar.